My name is Brian. I got into the whole ABA thing a couple years back, actually about 6 years ago. And it was kind of a weird, kind of funny story. I had just graduated from university with a degree in psychology, and I was trying to find a job for over a year, and I couldn't find one. So I had decided that after the year, I would join the army because it was just the only thing I could think of. And so I kind of had everything scoped out. I planned which recruiting center I'd go to, and then I went to a sort of like a seminar information session at UBC about ABA and what that entailed, and I got really interested in it. So I went on Craigslist and I took a couple looks at a few links, and then I applied to a couple. And as of like January 2nd, one of the families had contacted me and asked me to come by for an interview. And after that, they wanted me to start the very next day, and that's kind of how I got into it, and I just kind of kept going from there, and eventually I picked up a couple more students, and then I went into the school system. When I first started, there was probably like 1 in 10 males around, and so I feel like that contributed to why I got hired sort of right away. And then as I progressed through the years, more and more males are kind of getting interested in it, and were kind of joining the field, which is great, and it definitely opened up. I was really also surprised by the sort of like the path that can kind of occur from it. You can start off as a BI, you can go to becoming a lead on a team, then you can have the option of going into the school system to work as a ABA support worker as well. And then from there you have options, right? You can go towards being a consultant, or you can, work towards other areas in the field. I plan to move towards doing more of a counseling role, not necessarily consulting. I do a lot of fitness related stuff with sort of children with ASD, and that's kind of where I personally am going to go with it. Early on I came to understand that I needed to just be myself. I think that in a field that was very dominated by women, there's the expectation that like my energy levels or my enthusiasm should be the exact same as many of the women that work in the field. But after a while, the kids kind of can tell like whether or not your enthusiasm is real. And my level of enthusiasm is going to be different from another person's. And so if I had any sort of advice for any other males that want to get into the field, you do want to learn how to play with kids and be a little bit different than what you normally are, but you have to remember that you need to find your unique way of showing to the kids who you are, because they will enjoy your company just as much if you are able to be yourself, and they can kind of tell if you're trying too hard to be somebody that you're not. One of the other unique things sort of being a male in the field is that, I can help with a lot of socialization situations, or even helping to, for some of these students to develop some of their social skills with regard to other males. We all act slightly differently in different environments, especially when we want to enter a social group or a peer group. We will do different things to kind of get into it, and I think that male tutors have their way of also showing their male students the same idea. When some of our male students get a little bit older, some of those rules kind of change, especially like the nonverbal contact. High fives are great as you start growing up, but after you hit a certain point, then a lot of students will do things slightly differently. We stand differently, we'll give fist bumps in certain ways, how to give the nod and what that means in different social contexts or different parts of the school. It's not always entirely obvious. The other thing is we're also able to teach certain skills that female tutors can't, such as like how to appropriately use the urinal, different urinal etiquette. I think leisure skills are often forgotten because school is beneficial in some of the academic skills we teach, in the social skills, but a lot of times, and especially as they get older, your leisure skills will kind of factor into your social skills. A lot of kids will start to play different sports outside of it. They'll do various activities where if your social skills or your physical fitness is sort of your limiting factor, it makes it a little bit difficult to continue on with the other kids or be at the same level as they are. It's something that we always want to keep working towards and not just forget about it. It's not just something that we want to play with. It's something that can help them develop towards interests that they like and give them a lot of other things to work toward. You can't expect them to learn it naturally. It needs to be taught the same way that we teach academic and social skills early on. The principles of ABA can apply to teaching leisure skills and physical gross motor development as well. If a student wants to learn how to play soccer, then they first need to learn how to run correctly, with those proper stride patterns, how to kick a ball without losing balance. They got to develop those skills before they can move on. Just like a lot of the academic or the social skills that most children should have, we kind of have to teach teach them. Sometimes their peer group might not have the same interests, but sports will almost always unanimously be something that kids seem to enjoy. You know, they play it at recess, they play it at lunch, they play it after school, they play it on teams, or they play it at family gatherings. It's something that can be applied to many, many different situations. And it can even go further on if they continue to develop. They could play in university and even as an adult. So leisure skills are something that, you know, we tend to forget about, but it has a very important place.